There are way too many flankers of fragrances out there on the market. Some of you guys might be confused on which one to grab, which one's the best one, which one to avoid. So in this video, I'm gonna clear all that up in part 2 of the best and worst flanker of the most popular men's fragrance on the market. Yo, what's up guys? Timmy, welcome back to another video today. Today we have part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, I'll leave a link down below to part 1. Go feel free to watch that one first. Part 2 here, I have 5 more amazing fragrance lines out here. I'm gonna show you the original and then tell you guys which is the best flanker and the worst flanker of the line, all right? So the first one right here, we have the Y line. Yes, a relatively new line. Y by Yves Saint Laurent. This one is more famous for the sage and the amberwood. Yes, the dreaded amberwood that's in so many fragrances nowadays. It gives off this kind of warm, ambery, woody vibe. It's just a really mass appealing note that works, and a lot of brands have caught on that it works, that people like it, that people buy it, and now it is everywhere. And you can thank Dior Sauvage and the Y line for all of that, all right? So YEDT, the original one right here, when it was released, it got some hype, but not a lot of hype because the performance really. A lot of people like the smell. I like to think of it as YSL's version of Prada L'Homme, if you will. It has a really nice, clean, youthful DNA, luxurious. It's mass appealing in the most easiest to wear of ways, non-offensive, safe. So it's a really nice fragrance. The only downside about this one is that the performance is not so great, hence a lot of people dismiss this one at first. But it's still a really great fragrance if you want to wear it to, the office or class. This one is really good. I still vouch for it pretty heavily. So yeah, the worst flanker, we're gonna start with the worst flanker first. And this line, I have to say to you guys, man, there's really no bad fragrance yet. They nailed all 4 releases in my personal opinion. The worst one right here just happens to be the worst of the best, if you will. This one I enjoy quite a bit myself for the summertime, and it is Eau Fresh. Yes, Eau Fresh right here. This one has a fresh kind of citrusy cocktail at the top, dries down to a little bit more of a smoother, fresh fragrance. But it is really, really nice. I've gotten compliments from this fragrance. Actually, I've gotten compliments from the whole entire line. This one is really nice, man. It's just that I have to pick the worst for this video. So this one just is the worst of the best, but by no means is this a bad fragrance at all. I love this thing. It's one that's just for the summertime, really, really good. The only downside to this, I guess, is the performance. It's plagued by the same lack of performance as the original one, so keep that in mind. But for the summer heat, you really don't need super beastly performance anyway, so this one works really well. The best flanker for me is gonna be Y Live. Now, a lot of people are gonna pick the YEDP, and I completely get it. That's also a really, really strong fragrance. For me though, I just find Y Live to be a little bit more versatile. YEDP for me has always come across a little bit too sweet on my skin, and sometimes when it's too hot out, it's just unwearable. I have a lot of fans in the Thailand fragrance community as well. It's really hot and humid there in that country. And they all reported that YEDP in the hot sun, the humid sun in Thailand, is unwearable. They find it too cloying, too much, it's just too sweet. So hence why, to me, I think Y Live is the better release. Both of them are massive compliment getters. You really can't go wrong with either. If you live in a more colder place or colder country, I would say go with the YEDP. If you live in a more hotter place like in Thailand, more humid place, I guess, I would go with Y Live. But both are amazing choices. My pick would just be the Y Live. Next line right here, we have the Dior Homme line. Yes, the beloved Dior Homme line with that, lipsticky iris DNA, if you will. This one right here, a lot of people love this. I grew to love this. Let's just say that. I didn't like it a lot before, but it grew on me. I grew to appreciate it. I grew to appreciate the artistic behind this thing, the vibe and the general kind of groundbreaking, thinking outside the box DNA of his time. Yeah, I buy into all of that now. Amazing fragrance for the springtime, rather unique still in today's age. Not a lot of people are gonna be wearing this type of DNA, so great choice. The worst one in this lineup, I don't own, and that is Dior Homme 2020. I don't own that one simply because I just never feel like I need to buy it. Yeah, I don't feel like ever buying it. I like it. It's a good fragrance. It'll get you some compliments. It has cashmere, which gives it a little bit of a clean, kind of fuzzy, woody vibe, a really modern, fuzzy woodiness that a lot of people love, but is so detached from the line. Like it doesn't even belong in the line at all. You can put that in a whole different line, and I wouldn't think twice about it potentially even being in the Dior Homme line. So not a big fan of that one. I feel like a flanker should still have a little bit of the original in there. That's just my personal take on it. Although it is a good smelling fragrance, it does lean on the more generic side as well with that cashmere. A lot of fragrances has cashmere nowadays, so it's nothing really super new at the same time as being just too different from the original. So just don't like that one. Dior Homme 2020, I deem it the worst flanker of the Dior Homme line so far. Now the best flanker, this one's a little bit different. I have two because it really depends on my mood. On majority of the days that you catch me, I'm gonna be saying that Dior Homme Parfum is the best flanker. This one is just rich. It has that iris in it, has that musk. Man, it's strong, it's artistic, it's masculine. Like it takes the metrosexual DNA of this one and Dior Homme Intense and just masculine it. A girl cannot wear this, I feel like. At least I can't see a girl wearing this anyway. Masculine, kind of leather iris, musky. It is really, really nice, man. And the performance of this one is to bow for. It's 36 plus hours. You're not gonna have any complaints about this fragrance at all in that department. Just a great overall art piece, beast mode fragrance. It's one for the collector for sure. Not the most mass appealing fragrance though, but then again, the whole line is not really the most mass appealing line ever. So I don't think a lot of people expect that out of this line. People expect like refinement, and this one has refinement to the moon, I should say. I almost said something else that, yeah, not so appropriate. But this one has refinement to the moon. There you go. So yeah, that's why it is the best flanker. But on rare occasion, if you catch me on one of those days, I would say Dior Homme Cologne is the best flanker because it's just so pleasant, man. This is a happy fragrance. You spray this on, you instantly feel refreshed. You instantly feel awake. That lemony kind of cocktail citrus vibe up top here is to die for. It's one of the best opening I know in a fragrance, and that's why it's even a contender for the best flanker. Performance of this one sucks so much. Like it does not perform much at all, and that's really why it's not a definitive favorite, but the opening here is just so good that you have to at least get your nose on it. I highly recommend it, especially if you live in extreme hot places. You will appreciate this one tremendously. Moving on, we have the Bleu de Chanel line from Chanel. Now this one, it really only has two other flankers, so I mean, not super hard choice here. The original here is really good. The originator of blue fragrance. It has some fresh grapefruit, some incense in here, really nicely well balanced, high quality fragrance blue wise, and also in the office world as well, nights out world. This one is really, really good. I smelled this off quite a few people when I used to go to bars more often or club more often. It's a very popular wear and it smells absolutely fantastic. This is also going to be the most summery of the line, meaning that the citrus shines through the most of the line, so hence a lot more mass appealing than the other two flankers. Now the worst one for me is the Parfum version. Not for any particular reason that you may think, like the scent is bad or anything like that, but it's the price. It really is the price. The scent itself, it's not like a big improvement over the DNA in any way. It tones down the freshness, adds a lot more woods, makes it overall smoother and easier to wear for the fall time. But the price, man, $150 for this guy right here. Plus the performance for Parfum is not any better than the Eau de Parfum or even the EDT at times for me. So it has some downside that really cripples its potential. So yeah, worst flanker, the Parfum version of Bleu de Chanel. The best flanker is the only other flanker, really, is the Eau de Parfum. And this one is the one that I prefer out of the three. It has a little bit less grapefruit, so a little bit less freshness, but a little bit more incense, amping up the darkness a little bit more well-balanced than the EDT, in my personal opinion. The EDT leans a little bit more on the sporty side. This one is a perfectly balanced flanker, and I enjoy this one a lot more. And I enjoy this one quite a bit more. Now, on some days, if it's hotter, I'll wear the EDT. If it's cooler, I'll wear the EDP. I never wear the Parfum. So that's why this one's the worst, and this one is the best. Next one we have right here is gonna be the Guerlain L'Homme Ideal line. This one, bam. Boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, focus. Yes, L'Homme Ideal by Guerlain. This one is famous for its almond note. Yes, the almond note in here, so decadent, so unique, very creative DNA. It's one that if you can pull off, you smell like no one else. I guarantee you, you can wear any fragrance from the L'Homme Ideal line and you're gonna smell very unique. No one is wearing this because one, it's not that readily available at malls or at any place where people actually look for fragrances. Guerlain boutiques are not really in a lot of different places, so especially in the USA, not a lot of people are gonna be wearing anything at all Guerlain related. So if you're in the US, you can wear any single one of these and you smell really unique. Now the worst flanker for me is gonna be the one that smells to me the most generic, but again, same with the Y line and the Prada L'Homme line. There's really no bad fragrance in this line in my personal opinion. They're all unique, they're all great in their own way. There's no bad fragrance. This one is just my least favorite in the line, and this one is L'Homme Ideal Sport. Now some people really like this one, my girlfriend included, she really enjoys this one. But to me, this one's just, you take the almond DNA from the original and you just add some sporty citrus onto it. And for me, it feels a little bit lazy. I feel like it could have been done a little bit more differently, a little bit more in a unique direction, if you will. There's more that this fragrance could have been, and that's the bottom line. So yeah, that's why this one is the worst. Now my favorite one is the one that I've been talking about for the past few weeks. Of course, this one is L'Homme Ideal Extreme. This one has the plum in it, a really dry plum that really adds a masculinity to this line that it desperately needed, because the almond DNA kind of puts some people off because it does smell leaning more on the unisex side. So some men are not really too inclined on wearing fragrances in that territory, but this one fixes that problem. It takes the unisex-ish DNA and lean it a lot more towards the masculine side. The almond is definitely still there, it's strong, it makes its presence known, and it's delicious in this fragrance alongside the dry plum. Really like this one. It's now my favorite overall from the line in its entirety, and it's one that I'm looking forward to wearing a lot more coming this fall. Last line of fragrance is gonna be the Armani Code line. Now this is a limited edition bottle. This is not Armani Code Absolute or Armani Code Absolute Gold. This is the original Armani Code. It's just the 2014 limited edition gold bottle. The juice inside is the same Armani Code juice. So yeah, I'll leave a picture of this one up here. The original bottle is black, so there you go. This one is my all-time favorite. I have a lot of memories associated with Armani Code. I went to the club with it, the bars with it. I wore it a lot of times throughout my college years. It's gotten me tons of compliments. Girls really love this one. It got me tons of memories in that department as well. So yeah, I would never be without a bottle of Armani Code, let's just say that. The best, actually the worst flanker of this one, I would say again, like a lot of the other lines I just talked about, there's not really a bad flanker to say. There's not a bad fragrance in this line. The one that I would say I like the least, and this is out of the one that is still available, by the way, there's some discontinued ones I'm not gonna mention, but out of the ones that are still available, this one is the worst. This one is Armani Code Absolute Gold. The only reason this one is the worst is simply because there's already Absolute, there's already Profumo, and it really has no place because it smells too similar to Absolute and, you know, slightly similar to Profumo. It's just a little bit darker, has a little bit more of a Middle Eastern feel, if you will, with the saffron. But it just really doesn't have a place, man. At the end of the day, it's just not different enough. And the price tag of this one is the highest simply because it's a limited edition and you really can't find this bottle in a lot of different discounters. So you're gonna be paying premium for this one when you can pay discount price for the other ones, which are, to me, better. So yeah, worst flanker, doesn't do anything super new with the line, just feels like a throwaway release. So yeah, Armani Code Absolute Gold. Worst one. Not a bad scent, just the worst one. The best one is this one right here for me, is the Profumo, and this one has a root beer kind of vibe, really nice tonka bean sweetness, has a warmth, has warmness to it as well. It's just really nice, mass appealing DNA. I wore this one, I would say, not as much as I wore the original, but quite a lot as well, especially when you go into the clubs, to the bar in Thailand. I wore this one quite a bit. I love every time I wear this one. If I were to pick though which one's my favorite, I would still say the original is my favorite because I have a lot of memories associated with it. But this one is a really close second. Love this one. Performance also really well, 12+ hours. I never have any complaints. So yeah, #1 spot, undisputed winner is Parfum. Profumo. Now the second place I would say is the Absolu. That one is just a silkier, smoother version of this one. That one I do like a lot. It's really neck and neck with this, but this one just beats it by a slight margin. Alright guys, that's it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. If I missed any of the line that you want me to cover, leave it down in the comment section below. I might do a part 3 to this later on in the future. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out and bye.